Right, well, it is our integrated pest management field day, so I really wanted to talk about a pest that we have definitely seen a lot of over the month of July and end of June, and that's potato leafhoppers. They've been extremely bad this year, and I think the last time we had a really bad infestation was actually in 2017, so about 3 years ago. We have leafhoppers every year. They actually blow up from the south in storms, but the severity of the infestation really depends on a lot of factors: the number of storms, the wind currents, and often the severity of the prior winter. And of course, the prior winter for most people was very mild, and mild all the way up the eastern side of the country, meaning that the overwintering of leafhoppers was closer than it normally is. And so our populations are very high this year. And you've seen it all over the countryside, I'm sure. Maybe you didn't know what it was. I know I've gotten a lot of calls, especially for farmers that are out harvesting anything that has alfalfa in it or clover. It was bright yellow like a school bus and still is when I drive across the countryside. And that's actually the impact of leafhoppers, even though many people have thought it was drought. Of course, dry weather can exacerbate the issue because those rains that we get also help by washing off insect pests and killing them. But because we've had a lack of rain, hot weather, and just all the right conditions, leafhoppers have been severe. Although it's July 21st today and the populations are likely starting to subside, thank goodness. A great example of leafhopper damage, and that's why we're standing out here in the dry beans, are on dry beans. Leafhoppers do a lot of damage on dry beans as well, and if you're growing beans in your garden, you've likely seen leafhopper damage too. You can see the damage as the yellowing on the edge of the leaves, and we have two varieties right here, and you can clearly see we have one variety that the leafhoppers really like. You can see that yellowing of the margins of the leaves. We call this hopper burn. Okay, the leafhoppers actually poke their proboscis, or it's not a proboscis on leafhoppers, but their feeder into the plant, and they emit a toxin, and the toxin actually kills back the plant and makes the plant fluids digestible to the leafhopper. So this is how the leafhopper gets the food that it needs, but it does damage to your plant. And you can see the leaves curl up and they start to die back. Now if I shake these plants around, looks like they might be starting to go away. You can see a little bit of action maybe in the camera, things jumping around out here. Usually you have to look on the underside of the leaves to see leafhoppers. Not too bad, which is good. Means they're finally starting to die back. But they've done their damage, as you can see here on these beans. Now, interestingly, you look right next door on a completely different variety and no damage, barely any damage. So there's something about these dry beans that those leafhoppers do not like. What is it? Oh, there's a nice leafhopper right there. Ugh. Want to see something? Want to see something? Sorry. And yeah, they're on the underside of the leaves. So if you're looking for them, that's where you got to look. There's another one right there. We'll let that one survive for the field day. Okay. But they don't seem to be doing as much damage. And there are plants that are resistant to leafhoppers, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. All right, so I wanted to talk about leafhoppers a little more, and I know it looks pretty barren out here because we did just harvest these legumes. This is a legume trial that has alfalfa and red clover and white clover. You probably visited it before. You can see right here some of the severe damage from the leafhoppers on the alfalfa. And you probably saw this in your field if you have alfalfa. It basically just kills back almost the whole plant. Now, I did get a lot of calls from individuals asking, what do I do? You know, the first question was, is it drought stricken? And certainly the dry weather is exacerbating the issue that we had with leafhoppers, but that's not the issue. It's the actual leafhoppers, like I said, that are putting toxins into your plant, causing that yellowing to occur. Now, in the case of alfalfa, people were saying, well, should I go out and spray it? And you can spray insecticides to kill the leafhoppers, but here's the thing. If the alfalfa plant itself is already completely damaged, completely yellow, spraying an insecticide is not going to help the alfalfa plant. All it's going to do is maybe kill off some leafhoppers. So really what you want to do is you want to mow the alfalfa off, get rid of all the dead material so that the alfalfa can start regrowing. Once the alfalfa starts regrowing, let's go over here to a plot that we mowed, okay? And you can see that the alfalfa is already regrowing and it's green. We've gotten rid of most of that leafhopper damage, okay? So now is when you actually want to start scouting and seeing if there's any leafhoppers that are starting to impact the plant again. And at this point, when you have the ability to produce new growth, if the leafhopper populations are still really high, so if you're scouting and you have more than 10 per sweep net, then you might consider spraying at this point. However, when you mow, you also kill a lot of baby leafhoppers. They can't fly when they're babies. So when you mow the alfalfa, the babies will die. If there are any adults, they might fly off to another field and return. So mowing is really the best strategy, even for new seedings. You don't want to mow really low, but you want to try to clip off that damaged growth so that it'll put up new shoots with new green growth. One last point I'd like to make before we sign off. One last point that I would like to make before we sign off is the value of leafhopper resistant alfalfa. So leafhopper resistant alfalfa is non-GMO. And you can purchase organic varieties as well. And really it's hairy. It has a really thick pubescence on the leaves and it deters the leafhoppers. If you were out here a week ago, and I'll have some photos, hopefully we can put those in the presentation too, the leafhopper resistant alfalfa was totally fine. Growing well, sure it was a little bit set back from the drought, but there was absolutely no damage on it from leafhoppers. So if we have an infestation 1 in 3 years, it's probably worth purchasing leafhopper resistant alfalfa to hedge your bets, because otherwise likely you lost your whole crop of alfalfa during this leafhopper infestation. All right, till the next time.